Ruan's movies were often set in Shanghai backstreets like this, though those shots were usually recreated on Shanghai movie sets like this. People say that realistic acting began with Marlon Brando in America, but look at Ruan here. Her weariness, her understated gestures, her body language. This is decades before Brando. When Maggie Cheung played Ruan in the film Center Stage, director Stanley Kwan had her repeat this famous scene. In this film, New Women, Ruan played a real-life actress who committed suicide after being hounded by the press. And here's the kick to this story. The prurient Shanghai tabloids trashed Ruan's name because she was modern and realistic in a city of sparkle and cheap sex. In response, Ruan took an overdose, like the character she played, and died in 1935, aged just 25. Her funeral procession was 3 miles long. 3 women committed suicide at it. The New York Times front page called it the most spectacular funeral of the century. Today, Ruan appears in almost no film encyclopedias. In the coming decades, Shanghai, the city of sex and cinema, would build on top of its past and the alleyway settings of its great 30s films to become a Disneyland of capitalist consumption. It became something like a movie set. And by the 40s, a small promontory on the southeastern coast of the mainland had become the new center of Chinese filmmaking in the south. That promontory was called Hong Kong. And so we get to the end of an era in film. Looking back on the years between the late 1910s and the early 30s, it's clear that they were dazzling, maybe the greatest period in the whole of the story of film. It was a time of fantasy cinema and its brilliant alternatives. Movies were on a high. This sublime tension should have lasted forever. But there's something obvious that we haven't yet mentioned. We didn't hear Doug's shout. We didn't hear Falconetti's voice. We didn't hear Cesare's nighttime victim scream. The energy or tenderness of these made a huge impression on us, but not as things in the real world do, because they were silent. What in France is called deaf cinema.